between Fabiano Caruana with the white pieces and Rinat Jumabayev, I believe, with the black pieces. Game started, with the English, and then we got an early transposition. Queen Gambit declined, and after knight f6, Fabiano took early, which led to a transformation where white has two central pawns and black only has one. Just pinning the knight, protecting the pawn, since you can't really do with the e-pawn as you normally would. Queen c2, and just normal development. And as you can see, early battery by Fabiano onto this h7 pawn. It looks like this might be a blunder, since you could first of all just take, and it looks like you can take, but no, your bishop gets trapped and you look like Bobby Fischer, and you'll just have to do something like this, and you may think you have compensation, but not really. The king's going to escape, and you're just down a clean bishop. So instead, we just got g6, preparing a castle, since if Rinat were to castle here, then you could do it since it's check and you don't have time to play g6, but just plays g6, preventing it, and now they both castle. And now Fabiano brings the a rook to the e file, possibly meaning he'll go f3 or f4 and just launch a kingside attack. Oh, nice maneuvering, possibly going to c5 in the future, just patrolling the queen side. And now we get the idea, keeping the rook on the f file so you can push f6 comfortably. b6, just preparing to create queenside counterplay, and the queen, all the pieces will be going to the king side to try and launch an attack. Keep in mind that their first game is a draw, so if Fabiano wins this game, then he'll go to the next round. And the same thing for if Rinat wins this game, he'll go to the next round, and the other player would be knocked out. As you can see, the idea of b6, play c5, get queenside counterplay, while Fabiano is going for the king side. And as you see, the queen moving over, queen d8, and now g5, a very committal move. It seems like exposing the king, but not really. You might play king h1 and rook g1 and just laser him down the g file. Knight just goes back, goes attacked, and now the knight that went here is now coming back to attack. Just stopping, a good move by Caruana to just stop queenside expansion. You could have done this and this, but now a4 just shuts it all down. c4, shutting down the bishop, getting more queenside space, but he just slides it back. a6, preparing to go b5, and this is also aided by c5 since the bishop no longer covers that square. Knight f4, continuing the attack on the king side, and now Jumabayev breaks through on the queen side, but Caruana just stops it all down. You can en passant, but you're not really going to get that far, and that's actually what happened. And you're just left with this. It could be a passed pawn in the future, but it's not really that strong now, since it's just it might be a target, and it's easily attacked and has no neighbors to protect it. And now Caruana moves the knight, trying to help with the kingside attack. Just moves the bishop out of the way, didn't want to get captured anymore. And now attacks the rook. Okay, he's probably going to go rook f2 or something. No, g5, full sends. Jumabayev takes the rook, and now the rook takes the bishop. Better move was to take the knight, but I guess Caruana didn't like how that pawn was pinned, since if you do this, something like this could happen. And after captures, you have two passed pawns here, and you can't capture here because, keep in mind, your queen is hanging, so don't do that. So we got rook takes, going down the f file, and just moving out. saying this is a target. I'm gonna remaneuver my pieces, and you overextended, and I have passed pawn, which could be strong. Now, he gave up the pawn by playing that, by the way, since the knight was attacking it, and the knight previously defended that. Rook moves, and the queen centralizes. Gives up this pawn, but possibly ideas of bringing the rook to the g file again. And f4, just attacking the queen, getting more space. Possibly f5 is coming in the future. Queen goes back, and f5. Knight f6, just trying to exchange some pieces because he doesn't want to be attacked. Knight takes, and then takes on g6. Queen takes. Oh, an impossible shot. Bishop takes f7. It can be taken with the queen or the rook. Well, let's see why it wasn't taken with the rook. Then you just lose. After this, it's just really bad. You go here, and then you take the rook, and you're just up a clean knight, and one pawn. But this pawn's basically a goner anyway, so we'll be 2 pawns soon, and they're just going to roll down the board. So, that is why it wasn't taken with the bishop. It was, that's why it wasn't taken with the rook. It was taken with the queen. Sacking the queen for a rook and a piece. But now 2 rooks for a queen should be a drawn endgame. There's a passed pawn threat, so maybe not, but it most likely with best play is a draw. Queen d3, just attacking the rooks since they're not really connected right now. And rook g5, putting pressure down g file. As you saw, the g file was open the entire board, but it wasn't really used by Caruana, so now Rinat is using it. King g3, and knight f5, e4, attacking the knight, and knight h4 check. Fabiano goes a little aggro, and he just goes back because the knight was being attacked. Queen c4, it looks like a harmless move, but that's actually a losing blunder. What he had to do was go here to not allow this rook to stay on this file, and this rook would have had to move, like, let's say to here, and it would have had less pressure. But instead, queen goes queen c4, and this allows h4 with ideas of checkmates over here. So Fabiano just backs up, and h4 is incoming. You may think, why didn't he back up? Couldn't he just gone something like this? But nope, that leads to mate. Then king h4 and mate. So he had to escape with the king and give up this knight. You can't move it, of course, because you're pinned. So king h3, and this is now winning for black, despite these 2 passed pawns, which it may make it tricky, though, for black to convert. And he lost his pawn. So it's queen for 2 rooks. It's queen and 3 pawns for 2 rooks and a knight. A crazy, insane endgame. He's just trying to put pressure here. Check, probably hoping for a perpetual, Fabiano's. And he goes around trying to sneak out. Well, not there, of course, but just to cover here, and almost every piece. Well, these 2 pieces are in dark squares, so possibly ideas of just harassing them along diagonals, since they can't really move that way. Well, the rook at least can't, and just attacking the pawn. Okay, you defend this pawn, but you want to defend this pawn as well? Nope. Fabiano gives it away and puts all of his resources into this d pawn. Let's see if it will pay off. Rinat takes a pawn, and Fabiano keeps pushing. It's looking pretty scary. Only 2 more moves and another queen is coming. Rook d4, putting the rook behind the pawn. That's what you're supposed to do against passed pawns in these endgames. And queen b2, attacking the rook, and he just takes it. Queen c3, just trying to create some type of fortress, but he doesn't really have one. Pinning the rook, trying to immobilize black pieces, but doesn't really do much. The rook a5, king g2, just going away. Goes back, queen d4, a little bit of repeating since they're low in time. and queen and rook d3, queen e1, and now it's just all over. All the pieces are swarming the attack. Of course, you can't take that because, sorry, of course you can't take that because you're pinned. King f2, and now it's just all over. Both rooks and the knight are incoming. It's going to be mate very quickly. Queen e4 there. Oh, you may think, oh wow, but he still has a rook. I'm pretty confident 2600 would be able to do this. And this is quite so. Fabiano resigned here, kicking Fabiano out of the World Cup 2021 and also the 2800 club. So now it's only populated by Magnus Carlsen, of course. And this was a very significant game since Fabiano lost very early against an underdog since he went too aggressive as white and got punished.